And we're live. Thanks for joining me, Pilot.
Yeah, I'm excited and happy, I think.
Yeah, it's been a real busy time around the Reclaimiverse between summer camp. I'm calling it the Reclaimiverse. I like that.
Yeah,
Um, between summer
we
camp
should
that
get
we
posters.
yeah we should get posters
Summer
um,
camp
that we just wrapped
and
up in mid-August, early August, depending how you want to label that. And I think over the last few weeks, and we're seeing it too, everyone's starting school up. So um, it's been busy around here, but busy in a good way. You know, things
yeah.
are going pretty smooth. At least I think so, especially given we have like a new billing system and everything.
If you've
And
emailed me in the past 2 weeks, by the way, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
working on it.
Yeah. But it seems to me like at least for admins, WordPress multi-site folks and domains admins, it's going relatively smooth too, because
Hmm.
we get questions but nothing crazy. So that's been awesome.
You've
Um
immediately jinxed us. Knock
I
wood.
have. I'm gonna knock on. There's a wood. The, yeah. So, um, but anyway, it's been busy, but I will say I've been having a good time. We had a company meeting yesterday, and I was like, my highlights right now are pretty high. My daughter started kindergarten. She's 5. So that's been crazy for me. Like I'm walking her to school every day, which has been
It's really cool.
super
That's
fun.
it's a huge
Um,
milestone.
yeah, it's a huge milestone. It's also just like good that I'm walking more. That's probably good. um, and it's just it's also a little bit bittersweet in some way.
Yeah.
We're getting into parent stuff on this web hosting show, but whatever. It won't take long. In a lot of ways, she's kind of not just our kid. She's the whole school community's kid now. You know,
Oh,
so it's been hitting me in a lot of different ways. So. Um, I hope you're doing well, other than work being pretty busy right now. I'm sure.
I'm doing fine.
So
Back
what
to
we're
school.
yes, back to school. And what we're chatting about this week is our upcoming workshop. I kind of wanted to talk two things. We're gonna do a little bit of promotion for what this thing is. If you're curious, if you haven't been to one of these workshops before, we'll talk about what the thing is, where you can sign up, who it's for, that kind of stuff. We're also going to give a little sneak peek into what our workshops actually are like, right? Like, so when you sign up, what are you getting, essentially? And because I kind of realized that we don't really have a lot of information out there. We'll tell people about it a little bit, and the calendar mentions it, but sometimes a visual or a demonstration would be better. So
Hmm.
um, we're going to talk about that, and it might be a useful resource. And we're also going to ask for some audience feedback on our upcoming workshop near the end too. So stay tuned for that, because we are planning it right now. We have all of our content and everything, figured out, but we have some theming that we may need help
Yeah.
with. So we'll chat about that too. Um, so I'm gonna pull up our event calendar, and if you know what, now's as good a time as any actually to go one further back. And how do you keep up with the Reclaimiverse? How does one do that? Do you know, Pilot? There's a decent hint here.
Bad time to mute my mic. I was about to go get the link and put it in a banner because you know I love a banner.
Yes.
I would say that probably the answer is that you would go to community.reclaim.hosting. And if I talk
No.
slow enough,
Yeah.
no?
No. Reclaimhosting.com. Reclaim.hosting is on the brain right now, but
Yes. No,
there you
you're
go.
right. Reclaimhosting.com. I've done the
Yes.
reverse of that too.
Oh
Um,
yes. Me too.
it's, but the banner's right. Look at the banner. That's what's
Yes.
right.
Banner's right. So
Taylor's got it.
community.reclaimhosting.com. I have my own janky banner, but you've got a real one, so that's good. This is your one-stop shop. So there's anything EdTech, which is our sort of planned events and things and streams and stuff like that. That'll show up here on our little calendar widget. You can look at community chats. We've got a really awesome upcoming one with the web recorder folks. I'm really excited about that. They've been doing great work for years on web archiving tools, and they have a newish, pretty new one that we're going to chat about with them. So I'm really excited about that.
That's been, I think, on your wish list for a while to have that community chat.
I mean, we've been poking at sort of our particular niche of needs around web recording for a couple years now with the site archiving toolkit, and we've used it for some projects. And they kind of reached out and we're like, hey, this is an interest to your community. We should chat about it more. And I was like, we should chat about it more.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really awesome. Of course, we've got blog posts. We need to feature those. But my point is you can come here and kind of stay up to date with everything coming up. One of the things that's coming up is our next, it's in October, so it doesn't show up here yet, but our next event.
I promise it's on the calendar.
Spring admin workshop. So if you want to go directly to the calendar, events.reclaimhosting.com, you'll find it in October. So
I was much more prepared with that banner.
Yes,
we've got it. We're good.
So this is our upcoming admin workshop. We have started, I think our first one we did like this was actually in spring, but we do a combined workshop now. So it's 2 days, 1 day focusing on domain of one's own and 1 day focusing on WordPress multi-site. And that's been great because we have, it's getting us to more consistently offer the WordPress multi-site workshop, which people have been asking for. And we've partnered with like Tom Woodward, and he really like pioneered a lot of the content that is, that we often
indebted to Tom, I would say.
Yeah. And so we've been kind of running with that and now making it sort of part of our normal workshop offering. But it's a 2 day sort of intensive workshop. There's about half day each day, I should say. 1 day focused on domain of one's own, 1 day focused on WordPress multi-site. I'm going to drop the link in the Discord to this direct event. But there's a description here, that basically talks about, hey, this is going to be a 2 day workshop. It's virtual, so you don't have to travel, and giving you a basic outline of what we're going to cover. So we talk about on the domain of one's own day the systems that make up domain of one's own, and kind of how they work together and what's what. The ways you can manage user accounts and things like that, how to troubleshoot broken sites, and where to get help with that kind of thing, and also talking about like building domain of one's own as a community space for your school, and how to grow that as a project. So we really try to go run the gamut on that workshop between technical and experiential. That's not the right word I'm looking for, but I guess like what I'm trying to think of is not just the how, but the why, right? That is kind of what we're talking about in that workshop. And it's really great because while we can share some of our expertise, we try to run these workshops in a way that really encourage the attendees to also participate and offer their expertise, because whether they think so or not, they always do have expertise to share with some of these things, if not all of them. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of day one, a basic overview of the topics. And honestly, day two is similar but for WordPress multi-site. So, and by that I mean it also covers some technical things that you'll want to know, but also talks about sort of best practices and how to grow this thing and make it more than just a WordPress install, right? Mm-hmm. And something that people find valuable, and what things to think about, long-term strategies, things like that.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit more focus on the WordPress multi-site day of like, for domain of one's own, we talk through the systems that are sort of working behind the scenes and what each one does and how they interact with each other and how you can use them. For WordPress multi-site, I think there's also some focus on what does it mean to have a network? Like, what does it mean to be a network admin versus to be an admin for an individual site on the network? What considerations and permissions and policies you set based on how you want things to run and what you want to make available and all that sort of thing. So
a running joke, I think, for Pilot and I is we typically do a session on like long-term,
archival and
yeah,
project
so
life cycle.
we call like, in order to make your domain of one's own healthy, you have to think about death, right?
Yeah.
And we hope not death of the project, but sort of the end of particular sites on domain of one's own,
Mm-hmm.
and what happens to them, and what are the options, and how can you talk with people using your domain of one's own instance, so students and faculty, about that from the start and why that's valuable.
Keeping it super cheerful and light.
Yeah. So we should we always kind of joke about that, but it's true, and like and so that's kind of honestly a through line throughout both of these workshops of like thinking about sustainability is super important, and it doesn't just mean, we're not just talking about like cost or like resources on the server. We're talking about your time or your team's time as well. So I think they're all really important things. I think they're things to consider when possible before you start a project. And we're hoping that these sessions help you with that.
Yeah.
So the workshop is, I think, pretty reasonable. So it's there's, you can sign up for 1 day or both days. 1 day is $195 and 2 days is $350. And you basically just fill this form out, so you can say, cool, I have 2 people that are going to domain in one's own day, or 1 person that's going to 1 day, whatever you need, and you hit get. And we just need your name, email, and Discord username, because we use Discord heavily to facilitate the workshop. I should say that theoretically you could participate without joining Discord by like watching the video content, but we really think it's valuable to be in there for the workshop, to be able to talk to other attendees and us in a sort
we can
of
answer
direct
questions
way.
and stuff.
Yeah. So we highly encourage that, and putting this in makes sure that we get you added to the proper channel ahead of time, so you're not starting the day wondering where people are, basically. So that's, how you sign up and what to kind of expect from the workshop. But let's maybe talk a little bit about what it's actually like on the day of. So we mentioned before, I just mentioned that we use Discord sort of as our real-time kind of facilitation. And there's video content, so we have videos that go up. Some of them are live, that we're producing live and airing live as we're chatting with you in Discord, and some of them are pre-recorded. We use a mix of that because we find it really valuable for certain types of sessions to really, we cover a lot in a few hours. So some of them are really, really tight in terms of content, so there's not a lot of room for mistakes. So that's part of why we record them. But also,
I would say,
sorry, yeah.
I was going to say also, just in terms of that, there's, I would say, like 4 or so of us who usually host these, and it rotates a little bit, but I would say maybe 4 or 5 people max. And so the end result is we try not to have back-to-back sessions of like Taylor's hosting this with Pilot and then Taylor's hosting this with Jason or with Meredith. But also the turnaround time, if Taylor and I go 5 minutes overtime on our, intense philosophical discussion about death, that means 5 fewer minutes for Taylor to prep his next session and turn around if we're doing them both live.
Yeah. So it's useful for us, and it also means that we can engage in Discord while a session is happening. We don't always, depending on the session, have the ability. I know that sounds counterintuitive. I've had people go like, well, couldn't you do that better if it was live? In some limited cases, yes, but honestly, with a workshop like this where we have a lot of, like, I'll call it content, and by content I mean we have things that we want to show on screen in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So for those types of things, it's often better for us to go through them And then if folks have specific questions that we can elaborate on, we can do that right live during Discord. I can send screenshots, or we'll make a note and cover them later in the day too. So
Yeah.
that mixture of live and recorded, I think, is something. I mean, it's been part of how we do these for years now, and it's been really valuable for us. But just so you know, that is how that stuff is produced. The whole thing is delivered via what we kind of internally call these watch sites. It's not a fancy name, but that's because they live on a subdomain called watch. And they are basically just an interactive. They're a nice schedule basically of the day. So here we've got day one.
Maybe reactive schedule.
Yeah, maybe reactive. Yeah.
Some kind of active. You know.
Yeah. And then you've got the video in the middle here, or on the middle left here, and then a Discord chat. You don't actually have to use this one. You can use Discord,
itself,
the app on your phone or on your computer. But we like to put this here. We've had feedback from folks in especially the first couple times we used the Discord as a part of the delivery method, that it can feel like juggling a lot of tools. So this is an effort to try and make that a little bit simpler. That being said, if you have a lot of screen real estate, like you're at a desk with a big monitor, you can always just click on this video and full screen it, and then have
9
Discord
monitors.
Yeah, if you're like me and you have 3 monitors, I have Discord over here. There's a spot. Discord lives over there, So anyway, trying to be accommodating in that way. We're also trying to always kind of make improvements to this site, make it better, and yeah. So, but this is kind of what it looks like. This is the site from our spring workshop. So this one's over. But you can see here it's got the date it happened. It actually says the event ended, almost 200 days ago.
Which is crazy to think about. I don't like that.
Time is terrible. So and this is a little toggle. So when the event isn't over, you can actually toggle this on to jump to the schedule to the current time and date, or you can turn it off and click on any of these sessions and view whichever one you want to view. So the schedule's here, and you can click on a particular session, see the description, the title, who's going to be in it from the Reclaim side, and then you can hit watch and watch it. If it's happened already, it'll have the recording right there. And our recordings are available immediately. So if you're watching live with everyone, I think there's value there to be able to chat in the Discord and everyone kind of has the same context as you. But if you sign up for one of these workshops and you got some meetings that you cannot avoid, and or you just don't want to, you can absolutely sign up and watch them later in the day, days later. We leave these pages up for folks. So as you can see, this one is still up, and it's from last school year. This is kind of how that page works, and then you've got the chat on the side.
It's what's to. I was going to say it's Jim's favorite word. I think it's really elegant.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just a nice interface.
So this is what that looks like, and we typically start out around noon Eastern time. This will show time zones in whatever your local time zone is. So I'm Central Time because I'm in Wisconsin. Go Pack Go. And they play tonight in Brazil. So
okay.
Yeah. So I almost wore a jersey to the stream. I should have. I don't know why I didn't, honestly, but whatever. The hat works. So mine are going to be different than if you're on the East Coast, of course. So, but this is kind of nice. You don't have to do any time zone math. I am at least internally at Reclaim notoriously bad at time zone math, even though it's -1. I just can't do that subtraction here, or addition. The problem is I get messed up on what direction. So this is super helpful for me, if no one else, but I think it's helpful for other people too. And the way we typically do these things is we have a few hours to start. We have a little break. We used to call it lunch, but we get people in all kinds of times, so it really doesn't make sense to call it lunch. We now call it intermission.
Intermission was also thematic for
yes.
what we were doing at the time.
Yes.
And we'll get to
talk
that.
about the themes. And then we end the day with a few more sessions, and we like to kick things off, close things out.
Yeah.
With a panel, and we're planning to do the same thing for our workshop. We're assembling that right now. So on the spring admin workshop, we ended with a sort of why domains panel, and we had a lot of guests in that one. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So we're planning to do a similar thing for our next for our fall workshop here.
Yeah, for the WordPress multi-site day, we ended with a really, really sort of lovely one-on-one session with University of New England, talking about their ePortfolios project and what goes into it and the role that it plays, and student success stories and things like that, which was really, really nice to just get to hear about what people are doing and what, from admin perspectives, what it means to have domains, to have WordPress multi-site on the campus, and what kind of thought and impact goes into it. It was, I don't know.
It was great.
I got to be part of that session. So, I'm sentimental.
Yeah, it was great. And also, I think, we've been talking a little bit about internally about WordPress multi-site and how we communicate about it as sort of an offering from us, but just sort of what it can be more generally. And one of the things I think we've done, the company's really built on top of, is the idea of domain of one's own. It's not really just a technical offering. It's something that is presented with a particular opinion about how people might learn and might engage with the web and all kinds of things like that. And I thought that session to end the WordPress multi-site day was a great way to talk about what that looks like, one particular way that can take shape for WordPress multi-site.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I think is, at least for myself, like a broader goal, is to kind of think about how we can bring some of those conversations to WordPress multi-site more. And I think tools like Commons in a Box and Commons in a Box Open Lab in particular kind of do the speaking for us in a lot of ways. And I'd like to kind of learn from what those communities and admins are talking about doing, using those kinds of things. Because so often when we say we're doing a workshop on WordPress multi-site, people go, oh, cool, like, so we'll learn how to admin it. It's like, yes, but maybe and absolutely we will talk about those things, but maybe more importantly, we're going to talk about how to grow this project and make it successful.
Yeah, there's different types of admin skill sets, and using WordPress, knowing how to use WordPress is one of them, but also knowing what you want this to be and what purpose you want it to serve, and how you're going to accomplish that is a different thing than being able to troubleshoot themes and plugins, which is also important, but
yeah. So that's a little bit of how these things work, and it's going to probably be a short stream today, but to end the stream today, Pilot and I wanted to talk about one particular thing we could use some feedback on.
Yes.
And that is the theme. So we haven't usually done themes, but last time for our spring admin workshop we were just looking at, and I'll pull it back up in a second here. That was actually a theme that we had planned for a fall workshop. It was going to be close to Halloween, but we had to reschedule it. Basically, the time did not work out, or the dates did not really end up working out. So we ended up picking that workshop up and all the planning and sort of re-recording things and for spring. And
it ended up being about a week after Valentine's Day, and we kept the theme anyway.
Yeah, we kept the theme because Pilot and I liked it. That's really why. So
well, also we spent like 45 whole minutes picking out names for the sessions, and so
like literally Pilot scheduled a meeting between the two of us so we could come up with how are we gonna theme these titles and description, well, mostly titles. After Rocky Horror Picture Show, a piece of art that I think Pilot and I both enjoy very much.
I wanted to, if we'd done it actually around Halloween. I was very genuinely considering seeing if I could order like a little sparkly gold top hat, just to wear it, just for recording. Didn't end up doing that, but dressing up for Halloween.
So this time we're thinking, we've been thinking lots of things, like how could we theme this? It's in October, and so just before we went live here, I was talking to Pilot, and I was like, well, we just did like a spooky thing, and but now I'm kind of thinking, who cares? And we could do a spooky theme again. So I should say the way this worked last time is we basically just made some titles, and I would like to build on what our themes are like in the future. We may do some more with that. Don't want to necessarily spoil anything, because
let's also not promise this for the workshop that's coming up in a month.
And I have a particular habit of over-promising, and I'll just say
you deliver
no matter the cost.
Yeah, I was gonna say
to my own time and attention and sanity when it comes to audio-visual stuff. So because I'm nothing if committed to a bit that doesn't matter. That's
the fun part. The bit that doesn't matter is the part that's fun.
Yes. So yeah, we did things like, creatures of the night. We basically looked at like the main, titles of songs or lyrics, and we used that in our theming. I think Sword of Damocles security best practices is probably my favorite.
That was the best one. That was they were all good, but that was the best one.
And I think that was like maybe the last one, because we were like, what the heck do we do with?
I think we swapped it with I think that was originally the name for the troubleshooting one. The troubleshooting one was the Sword of Damocles, and then we went, no.
Yeah.
We got to change it.
Damn It, Janet was probably one of the first ones. We're like, well, we're going to use that. We're not sure where. I really liked Don't Get Strung Out by the Way I Look, going under the hood in WHM. I thought this is probably the best thematic one in terms of like the title fitting the session, because it really is about like, don't worry, there's tons of like server configuration here that you don't necessarily, you're paying us to worry about, but here are the things you need to know in here, basically. So we're thinking through other titles. I'm thinking we could stick with spooky movies. We could go with something else. We could go with actual like horror films, maybe. It doesn't have to be lyrics, right?
To be crowdsourcing those, though.
Yeah, I'm not an expert at that. Or I don't know.
Which, to be clear, if you have ideas, put them in the chat so that we can see them.
Yeah, if you have an idea, feel free to put it in the chat. We will consider it, and we will, I don't know, shout you out in the workshop. I guess I haven't thought of what the incentive is, other than wouldn't it be cool if you came up with a great idea?
We started talking about this less than 30 minutes ago. It wouldn't be a stream if we didn't do at least some of this live on camera.
Yeah. So anyway, themes wanted. We're thinking about it. We've got some ideas. But if you've got a great idea, please share it with us, because that would be cool.
Yeah.
And so that's what our workshops look like in terms of the actual experiencing them. We use this site to deliver it. We have the schedule and chat and video site to try and make it easy, and also you can engage with it as your time and attention allows. So we love when people can be in the workshop all day for that half day. But if you can't, you should be able to get basically exactly as much out of it. You can still use a Discord chat, and people will see it and respond to you. So we're hoping that works for folks. We've gotten good feedback in the past. We're just gonna keep building that direction, because if I've learned anything, it's that there's never, this is like a motto, maybe it's not useful for me, but there's never a good time for a workshop. Like, people are always going to be busy. So what we like to do is try and accommodate that, not by asking everyone what's the best possible day and doing that math. We've learned that typically the best times for these things are after the beginning of the semester. But trying to accommodate folks and saying you can get to these sessions later on if you need to, and you can still reach out to the community of this workshop, I guess, anytime when you need to. So that again, kind of putting a bow on it, check out the event calendar. You can sign up there. Let us know if you have any questions. You can just shoot us an email at our support at reclaimhosting.com or edtech@reclaimhosting.com. And I'm happy to chat with you about any type of workshop related question you might have. So anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think that's everything. I'm just looking forward to this. I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun. Even if we don't figure out a theme, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. All right. See y'all next week. Actually, before I actually sign us
Yes.
off. Next week we have another spooky themed stream. We've got Mad Scientist 3D printing. This is going to be with Meredith and I think, and we're going to talk about our 3D printing hobby. Meredith's been doing maker stuff like this for a while. I'm just kind of getting into it this year, and we're going to chat about that. And the week after, we've got our community chat we already talked about, Open Lab at University of New Haven. This is going to be amazing. We're talking with Mary Isbell about how they use Open Lab at New Haven with their digital humanities focus, but a little bit more broader focus than that too. It's going to be great. We've got a really awesome event lineup here.
What's on the 27th? 27th should be Friday.
What? Sorry,
the last one, the last stream of the month.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna make a Docker container live. It might go well.
It might.
I'll prepare. It'll go well. We're gonna this is gonna be a pretty hardcore technical one. I think I'm gonna try to make this very simple to follow along, but we're gonna build a Docker container from scratch. We'll talk about why I'm putting that in quotes on the 27th. So, yeah. That's a plug, a terrible foreshadowing that you have to wait a month for, and it's not going to be a huge payoff, but come to that stream. I think you'll learn something about Docker, even if you've never used it before. So, yeah.
We'll be here all month.
Yeah, we'll be here all month. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.